The old iron gates creaked. They groaned as if in pain. Twilight Park. The name sent shivers down anyone's spine. Weeds choked the pathways. Rides rusted. Monuments to forgotten laughter. The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of decay. An unnatural silence hung over the park. It was the silence of the grave. The wind whispered through the broken Ferris wheel, made a mournful sound, like a ghost was crying, warning us. The place felt wrong, evil. We should have turned back right then.
You scared?
Mia asked. Her eyes glittered with excitement. She was never scared. Not really.
No way.
Ethan shuffled his feet, but his face was pale. He clutched his camera tighter as if it could protect him.
Let's do this,
Lucas said. He pushed open the gate further. It screamed in protest. The sound echoed in the eerie silence. It felt like a challenge or a warning. We were crossing a line, entering a place we shouldn't. The funhouse leered at us, its paint peeled like rotting skin. The crazy mirrors inside were worse. They twisted our reflections, made us look grotesque, monstrous.
Did you see that?
Ethan jumped back from one mirror. His eyes were wide with terror.
See what? It's just a mirror, scaredy cat.
But Ethan wasn't looking at the mirror. He was staring at something behind us, something we couldn't see. The Ferris wheel beckoned, a skeletal silhouette against the dying sun. We climbed into a rusty car. It swayed precariously, as if a ghostly hand was pushing it. Higher and higher we went. The ground seemed miles away. The town spread out below us, small and insignificant.
Look!
Lucas pointed. A faint light flickered in the distance, deep within the park. It pulsed like a heartbeat or a warning beacon.
The haunted house ride was the park's main attraction. Once. Now it was a cobweb-draped nightmare. We stepped inside our little car. It lurched forward with a groan. Ghosts with hollow eyes and skeletal grins jumped out from the shadows. Their painted faces were peeling, revealing the emptiness beneath. The air grew colder. The smell of decay intensified. "Cobwebs," she said, but her voice trembled. We weren't alone. We could all feel it. Something was watching us.
The car screeched to a halt, its rusty wheels grinding against the old tracks. The sudden stop jolted us forward, our hearts pounding in our chests. We were plunged into darkness. The once vibrant amusement park now lay in eerie silence, shadows dancing around us. Then we saw it. A faint glow coming from the ride's final scene. It was as if the light was calling to us, beckoning us closer. A treasure chest lay open, its contents shimmering under the eerie glow. The chest looked ancient, covered in dust and cobwebs, as if it had been waiting for us for centuries. And inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, lay an amulet. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen, its intricate design mesmerizing. It pulsed with the same eerie light we had seen from the Ferris wheel. The amulet seemed to be alive, its glow intensifying with each passing second. "Don't touch it!" Ethan cried, his voice filled with fear. He had heard stories about cursed objects and didn't want to take any chances. But it was too late. Lucas's curiosity got the better of him, and he reached out, his fingers trembling as they closed around the amulet.
The moment Lucas's fingers closed around the amulet, the air crackled with energy. It felt as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. The temperature plummeted. Our breath turned to mist, and a chilling wail echoed through the haunted house. It was a sound that seemed to come from the depths of the earth, a cry of anguish and despair. The mist began to swirl around us, and ghostly figures emerged from the fog. They seemed to be drawn to the amulet, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. We huddled together, gripping each other tightly. The fear was palpable, and we could feel the weight of the amulet's power pressing down on us. The amulet's glow grew brighter, and the energy radiating from it became almost unbearable. It was as if the amulet was feeding off our fear, growing stronger with each passing moment. We knew we had to get out of there. With one last look at the amulet, we turned and ran towards the exit, the ghostly figures following close behind. As we escaped the amusement park, we looked back one last time. The amulet's glow was still visible, a haunting reminder of the power it held. We knew we would never forget the night we answered the amulet's call. A figure solidified before us, tall and skeletal. Its eyes burned with an eerie green light. It raised its hand, and chains materialized from thin air. They whipped around the car, trapping us.
Who dares disturb my slumber?
The amulet, it's cursed.
The chains constricted. We were running out of time. We had to get out. Now!
We have to destroy the amulet.
Lucas, hurry!
He fumbled in his backpack for something, anything. The spirit advanced. Its skeletal hand reached for Lucas. Its touch, he knew, would be death. Lucas pulled out a rock. He slammed it down on the amulet, again and again. He didn't stop until it shattered into a million pieces.
The spirit shrieked as the amulet shattered. It exploded in a blinding flash of light, illuminating the dark corners of the haunted house. The air was thick with tension, and for a moment everything stood still. The silence was deafening, only to be broken by the sound of the amulet's pieces hitting the ground. The chains that had bound us disappeared, disintegrating into thin air. The car we were trapped in lurched back into motion, creaking and groaning as if awakening from a long slumber. It was as if the entire amusement park was shaking off the dust of ages. We were free. The ride sputtered back to life, its mechanisms groaning and clanking. The thrill of freedom surged through us as we felt the wind rush past our faces. The once-abandoned ride now seemed to pulse with a newfound energy, as if it too was celebrating our escape. It carried us out of the haunted house and back into the dying light of the evening. The sky was painted with hues of orange and purple, casting an eerie glow over the park. The transition from the dark, oppressive interior to the open, fading light was surreal. We stumbled out, gasping for breath, our hearts pounding in our chests. The adrenaline was still coursing through our veins, making it hard to believe that we had actually made it out. We looked at each other, a mix of relief and disbelief on our faces. But the park was no longer silent. The rides, which had been dormant for so long, were now moving. The eerie creaks and groans of the machinery filled the air, creating a symphony of unsettling sounds. It was as if the park itself was waking up from a long, haunted sleep. Slowly at first, the rides began to move, then faster and faster, gaining momentum with each passing second. The once still attractions were now a blur of motion, their lights flickering to life in a chaotic dance. The Ferris wheel spun wildly, its rusted joints protesting with every turn. The funhouse, with its peeling paint and broken mirrors, seemed to leer and sneer at us, its distorted reflections mocking our escape. The entire park was a twisted carnival of motion and sound. Twilight Park was coming alive, and it was furious. The once abandoned rides now seemed to have a life of their own, their movements erratic and unpredictable. The atmosphere was charged with an ominous energy, as if the park itself was angry at being disturbed. We knew we had to leave, but the path to freedom was fraught with danger. The price of our freedom was high, and the park was not willing to let us go easily. We didn't look back. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs screamed for mercy. The night was dark, and the only sounds were our frantic footsteps and the distant, eerie creaks of the old rides. The fear was palpable, a tangible force that pushed us forward, away from the horrors that lurked behind us. We didn't stop until we were far, far away from that cursed place. The once vibrant amusement park, now a desolate wasteland, seemed to mock us with its silence. The overgrown weeds and rusting rides stood as silent witnesses to the terror we had experienced. It was as if the park itself was alive, feeding off our fear and despair. We never spoke of what we saw that night, but the memories lingered. The faded sign, once welcoming visitors with promises of joy and excitement, now stood as a grim reminder of the past. The twilight cast long shadows over the abandoned rides, each one a ghostly echo of the laughter and screams that once filled the air. The chilling laughter of children who were no longer children. Their ghostly figures seemed to dance in the corners of our vision, a haunting reminder of the innocence lost. The playground, once a place of joy, now felt like a stage for a macabre play, with unseen actors performing a never-ending tragedy. The creaking of the Ferris wheel, each groan of the rusted metal was like a whisper from the past, a reminder of the countless souls who had once ridden it, unaware of the darkness that would one day consume the park. The Ferris wheel, now a skeletal remnant of its former glory, seemed to move of its own accord, driven by unseen forces. The pulsating light of the amulet, and the vengeful spirit. The amulet, with its eerie glow, seemed to hold the very essence of the park's malevolence. It was a beacon for the restless spirit that haunted the grounds, a spirit bound by anger and sorrow. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced and twisted, as if the park itself was alive and watching, forever bound to Twilight Park. The spirit and the memories of that night were inextricably linked to the park. The silhouette of the amusement park against the twilight sky was a constant reminder of the darkness that lay within. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the past and present coexisted in a haunting dance. Twilight Park may be nothing more than a memory now, but the overgrown paths and empty rides still hold the echoes of the past. Each step we took away from the park was a step away from the nightmares that had taken root in our minds, yet the nostalgia for the days when the park was filled with life and laughter was a bittersweet reminder of what had been lost. But some memories have a way of haunting you forever. The shadowy figures that wandered through the park were a testament to the lingering presence of the past. The empty rides and darkened paths were like open wounds, never fully healing, always reminding us of the terror that lay just beneath the surface. Twilight Park, with its scarred memories, would forever be a part of us, a haunting reminder of a night we could never forget.